It's Friday afternoon in Sydney, and that means it's time for Friday Beers with Mark and Stuart. I'm Stuart Roberts.
I'm Mark Ennis.
And we're the founders of Pitt Street Research. Mark, you and I were talking before we started recording this conversation about that controversial remark from President Trump in January this year about shithole countries.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, he was talking about places like Haiti and El Salvador, but we've seen one a little more advanced emerging economy turned into a shithole this week.
Yeah, another shithole opened up, basically. Argentina.
Right, of all places, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So sort of preliminary elections this week in Argentina.
Right.
Opposition was expected to win, but the margin by which they won was a lot bigger than everyone was expecting.
Right.
So the problem is the running mate of the opposition candidate for
which is the left party in Argentina, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So she was in power a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and made a mess of the place.
Yeah, very business unfriendly.
Yeah.
And so she's now the running mate of the current presidential candidate from the left.
Right.
So yeah, if they win, there's a good chance that at some point she could actually, she'll have a lot to say about the policies, but also she could be back in office at some point.
Oh, goodness me.
So what happened was share market collapsed, basically. How much down?
Down 50%. You never see those sort of one-day moves in any established market, right?
Exactly. Currency crashed.
Right.
And so there's a lot of risk, in Argentina now, but also the spillover effects to other emerging economies.
Right.
So that's one thing, the spillover effects to other countries. But in terms of implications for industries in Argentina, like lithium, I think there's a huge implication there.
Old Chinese saying, crisis equals opportunity. So at least 40 and probably 50% of the world's future lithium supplies comes from the so-called lithium triangle. Now, we'll talk about that beer in a moment.
Yeah, must we?
It's not great, I admit.
Talk about shithole.
Now, careful. We need to analyse this opportunity.
All right, let's analyse this.
So, 40 to 50% of the world's future supplies of lithium comes from the so-called lithium triangle, which centres on northwest Argentina.
Is it the lithium triangle or the lithium triangle?
That's probably what the locals are going to have to grow now, because the business-unfriendly government about to take charge in Argentina is not going to look favourable on new lithium projects. And we all know that lithium's the commodity of the future. It's about, I think, to get a whole lot more expensive to get lithium.
Who would benefit from that?
So there's a whole bunch of lithium explorers traded on Australian Stock Exchange worth taking a look at. You would have seen that Wesfarmers, for instance, just took over one of the players. So I think they're a beneficiary of where lithium is going. Now, you were talking disparagingly about this beer. I want to make the point that not every emerging market is a shithole country. Now, that's Bintang from Indonesia, and you're probably wondering why I'm wearing the fancy shirt here.
I was wondering about that. Yeah.
So
what's up with that?
Indonesian Independence Day on Saturday, 17th of August. They declared independence 17th of August 1945. Right. And Selamat Hari Jadi to all of those who are celebrating this weekend. Now, you want to look for a market with a bit of resiliency.
Hang on. So independence?
Yes.
Well, you know that they kicked out the Dutch, right?
Right. So yeah, that's interesting. So the actual Independence Day, 17th of August 1945, was when Sukarno declared independence.
Right.
Now, your people had something to say about that.
Not much, actually. Basically, the Yanks said, get out there.
Right, okay, but you stuck it out for about 4 years until you finally threw in the towel.
Until they gave up, yeah.
Right, and scuttled back to the Netherlands to get around in your clogs and windmills and that sort of stuff. And
I'm out of here. This is too much.
No, come back. I've got something better for you.
Oh,
yeah.
What's this?
Yeah. Now let's just look at the beer. Indonesia has a lot of foreign tourists who go to Indonesia to have a good beer while they're sitting on the beaches in Bali. This is Bintang, brewed I think out in Surabaya. Now they've been brewing it out there since about 1929. Modelled it on some of
it tastes there as well.
It's basically the sort of stuff that Heineken would export to a country.
That explains
to a shithole country like Argentina, basically.
Yeah, because Heineken tastes the same.
Right.
So yeah, let's spark this one.
Put that aside. Here's a tropical torpedo from the Sierra Nevada Brewery in Northern California.
Before we do that, by the way, we're talking about emerging markets.
Right.
What do you think of my scarf?
So I'm guessing it's cashmere, right? And you need the scarf because of all the cold wind coming out of the emerging markets.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
Right, okay.
I don't think it's cashmere, but talking about cashmere,
right?
Another emerging market in trouble.
Right.
India.
Yep.
So it's the value of its currency.
Yeah. What happened there?
Quite a bit. Well, again, in Kashmir, sort of squeezed in between Pakistan and India.
Right.
Again, skirmishes along the border there. which is pressed down the Indian rupee
Right.
quite a bit.
Okay.
I don't think there will be a lot of spillover effects from that. It's sort of isolated and it's been
Right.
going on for many years. But again, sort of shows you the risk associated with investing in emerging markets.
Right.
Now, anything can happen
Yes.
to send the currency up or down,
Yes.
having a profound impact on your investments.
Well, look no further than Indonesia. So if you look at the IDX Composite Index from the Indonesia exchange last 12 months, they're down about 3% on a year ago.
Right.
That's primarily the fruits of an election they had back in April, where the pro-business candidate Joko Widodo won the election. His opposition counterpart decided to dispute it for a month or so, and the market came down heavily through that,
Right,
that
yeah.
period. So
There you go.
this is part of the problems you get investing in emerging markets.
Yeah, and I think with the trade war going on and escalating, essentially, emerging markets are probably the first ones to sort of feel the pinch of that.
Right.
So yeah, just from a risk perspective, that's where the pain is felt the earliest a lot of the times when you have movements like this.
Okay. Now, you and I spend a lot of our time looking at Aussie stocks. I mean, the take-home message here is we are one of the safest places in the world to come and invest. Nothing bad happens here. We had re-elected a very pro-business government in May of this year. Interest rates are next to nothing. We're not exactly caught up in the trade war. We've talked about the trade war before. We're actually a beneficiary of the trade war. And if there's a trade war going on, the price of gold is going up,
Right.
which we export a lot of as well. So, the message is all you folks who just got burned in Argentina or India or Indonesia, you need to come down and invest in Australia, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Right.
On that note, let's say sayonara. Not an emerging market, but we'll see you next week.
Yeah, have a great week.
Cheers.